Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. This is the cut block tutorial. It's going to be on day one, and this is our first drawing that accuracy does matter with the actual size of the object. So this is going to be the object that we are drawing. This is the isometric view, so you can see the height, width, and depth of the actual object. And these are our dimensions of the actual block. So when we look at the block overall, the overall height is 3.5 inches by 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. In this tutorial, we're just going to learn how to simply use the rectangle command to make our blocks on it, and how to use the extrude and cut command to actually cut out this front section and add a small block on the top. So we're going to get started. We're going to open up Autodesk Inventor, which from the last lesson, we know it's in the Start, All Programs, PLTW folder, Autodesk, and then Autodesk Inventor. Now that the program has opened up on the top here, we're still going to work with a new part. Remember, assembly is just when we start putting things together. So we're going to click on New Part, and we're going to wait patiently until the screen opens where we can start drawing. Okay, my drawing window is now open, so I'm ready to start the actual project. So, just like we did last time, you're going to come up to Start 2D Sketch. And we are always going to start on the XY plane. So you're just going to click on the XY plane once. And there's my graph. There's my axis. There's an X and Y axis for my X and Y plane. So looking at the drawing itself, remember, this is always going to be my front view, this will always be my top view, and this will always be my right side view. That's how this is set up, so when we're looking at it, and I have these things color-coded so it makes it a little bit easier. But when we look at the front side, this is what we are looking at, this feature here. So we're going to start off this project, and we're going to make the big blue square first. So we're going to end up using the rectangle command and looking at the dimensions. So a dimension line, we look at where the arrows end and the line it goes to it. So we can see the height of this blue block right here is going to be 2.5 inches. My width of it is also going to be 2.5 inches. And then my depth of it going this way is also 2.5 inches. So when we go back into Inventor, last time we used the line command. This time we're going to come over and use the rectangle command. So I'm going to hit rectangle, and I'm going to come in this viewing area, and I'm just going to draw a simple rectangle. It doesn't matter the actual size of it right now. So I'm going to click once to select the first corner, and then I'm going to move my cursor. Remember, don't click and drag. I'm going to click once, move my cursor, and I'm going to click again to draw my rectangle. So here's my rectangle. Again, it doesn't matter the size of it right now. We're going to change that in a second. So now that we have this rectangle started, we're actually going to make it the correct size. So up on top here, this is our ribbon up on top. So up on a ribbon, we have a tool called Dimension. So I'm going to click on Dimension. And I'm going to first start with my height of the actual object. So looking at this rectangle, my height of the actual object is going to be this vertical line here. So I'm going to click once on the line, and when I move my cursor, I'm going to get these numbers that show up along with my dimension lines. Now these dimension lines, it does not matter where they go, they will end up disappearing once we actually make the whole model. But for right now, I'm just going to move it out of my drawing a little bit. So I'm going to use the zoom on my mouse wheel to zoom out a little bit. And I'm going to place it on the left hand side here, and I'm going to click once. And when I click once, the toolbar is going to come up. It says Edit Dimension, and I'm simply going to type 2.5 for 2.5 inches, and I'm going to hit the green check mark. Now you notice that my drawing is out of the actual view. I cannot see it anymore, this left hand side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come over here to my viewing toolbar, and we talked about this last time, all the viewing tools that I have, and I'm going to hit this magnifying glass. And this magnifying glass will put everything in the center of it. It's called Zoom All. It's going to put everything in the center of my screen so I can see. So now if you look at the dimension lines, it now says 2.5 inches, and that's showing my height. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to hit dimension again, and I'm going to do my width of the line this time. So it's going to be my horizontal line on the top. So I'm going to click once. I'm going to move it to the top, and I will click again. And again, it doesn't matter where these numbers are at. I'm going to click again, and I'm going to type in 2.5 inches. And I'm simply just going to either hit enter on my keyboard or hit the green check mark. And now looking at it, I have a 2.5 by 2.5 inch square. So now that I have that, I need to add my third dimension. So my third dimension is going to be in the extrusion tab. So anytime you are done drawing a 2D sketch, so this is my 2D sketch, I sketched it, I dimensioned it to the correct size. So once you have that done, you're going to come up to the right hand corner and you're going to hit finish sketch. So in finish sketch, again, my drawing disappears. So because we are in the 3D view, or we want to make it into a 3D object, I'm going to use this view cube up here, and I'm going to hit this little doghouse. And this little doghouse puts everything exactly right back in the center of my screen so I can see it. And then up on the ribbon tab, I'm going to use the extrude option. So I'm going to click extrude. And you should have this dialog box. If you don't, it may look like this. And all I got to do is simply hit the down arrow. And I'm going to change it. Right now it says distance. I want to change the distance to 2.5 inches to make it a perfect 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch square. But this time I'm going to make sure I send it to the back because I want this original surface to be my front surface. So I'm going to send it backwards. So I'm going to hit direction 2 down here. And now it will send it backwards, and I'm going to click OK. So there is my cube. So now I have a 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch cube. So now I want to make this so it's not gray. So up on top, on the left hand side, is my browser bar. My browser bar lets me know everything that I've done so far. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to click on this extrusion tab once. I'm not going to double click it. I'm just going to click it once. And up on top here, yours will probably show it. Mine, because it's a condensed screen, mine won't show the actual option. But over here with the double arrows, you should have an icon that looks like this. It says adjust. So I'm going to click my adjust tab. And now when I drag it, I can change it to any color I want. And it just helps me so I can visualize the next couple of steps. So I'm just going to choose a dark blue. And I'm going to push the green check mark, OK. So now I have this blue square. Again, you can make it any color you want. So now looking at my drawing, I have this blue square here. I need to go and add a square to the top. So I'm going to do that, and looking at the actual size of the top, we know that it's 1 inch tall. So this is my block, front hand side. So I'm going to do 1 inch tall, 1 inch wide, and also 1 inch deep. So it's going to be a 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch block. So on Inventor, I'm going to hit new 2D sketch, and this time notice my X and Y axis and my planes don't show up. Now that we have a part created, we really don't need the planes to work off of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say I want to add a sketch, or I want to add a feature to this top surface. So again, I'm going to hit 2D sketch. I'm going to click this top surface and watch this back corner to where it goes. So I need that cube up here. So I'm going to click. And now my cube laid flat. So I'm looking, if I look at my view cube, I'm looking at the top side of it. And I'm going to need that block in the back left here. So same thing we did last time to create a rectangle. I'm going to go up and create a rectangle. And now where you click, because I know this needs to be in the upper left hand corner, notice my cursor. Right now it has a yellow dot in the center. No matter where I move it, it's a yellow dot. But now watch when I go to this left hand corner. It turns green. This means that it's always going to be anchored to this spot. It's going to be connected to these endpoints. So I'm going to click because I know I need it anchored there. I'm going to click once. I'm going to drag it down. And again, it doesn't matter the size right now. And I'm going to click again. So there's my square. So just like we did the first time, we're going to go up to the dimension toolbar. I'm going to click once on it. I'm going to change my width of the actual square. And again, I'm going to click this line. I'm going to move my cursor down. I'm going to click once with my mouse and hit 1 inch or type 1 inch. And I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to do it for my height. I'm just going to click once. I'm going to move it to the right. And I'm going to type 1 inch. So now I have a 1 inch by 1 inch cube. So same thing, we sketched it, we dimensioned it, we made it the correct size. So I'm ready to make it into an actual part. So I'm going to hit finish sketch up in the right hand corner. And just to get in the habit of it, I'm going to hit the home button just to make sure it's in the center of my screen. And then over here you can see the sketch that I have created. And this is called an unconsumed sketch, and this is called a consumed sketch. We've already created a 3D part off of this. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to click sketch 2, and I'm going to come on top, I'm going to hit extrude. So I'm saying I want to use this sketch to create an object. And this time I want it to be 1 inch in height, so I'm going to hit distance of 1. And notice now I can see, if I zoom out, and zoom back in, I can see what the actual object is doing. So that looks good, and I'm just going to click OK. So there's my cube on the top. So I have a square here, I have a square on top. So the last thing I need to do is create a square cutout here. So it's going to be the same exact process, except I'm going to work on the front view. And the only other difference is when we go to extrude it, there's going to be a cut option this time. So I'm going to go up, I'm going to start 2D sketch, and I know I need that cutout to be on this surface. So I'm going to click this surface, and I know it needs to be in this upper right hand corner. So same thing as last time, I'm going to hit rectangle. I'm going to connect with my green dot in the upper left hand corner. I'm going to drag down. I'm going to use my dimension toolbar, and I'm going to change it to 1 inch by 1 inch. So again, I sketched it, I dimensioned it to the correct size, and now I need to make it into a part. So I'm going to go up here, I'm going to hit finish sketch. And now this time, same thing, I'm going to hit the extrude button. But notice this time, this is popping out, and I needed to cut inward. So in this center tab that I have here, I'm going to select this center button. If I highlight over it, you'll see it. It says it'll say cut. So I'm going to select it. And notice that it's cutting back into the object, which is what I want. And then I'm going to click OK. So there's my cutout. And again, over here, if you want to change the actual colors of the object, I would just hit extrusion 2. You go to your top toolbar, you'd find this icon, this circle. And then I can drag it around to whatever I want. So if I want it to be yellow, I can change it to yellow, click OK, and I'm going to do that same thing for extrusion 2. I'm going to come up, I'm going to click on the yellow tab, I'm going to hit OK, and there's my cut block. So if I want to look at all sides, I can still use my orbit tool, and I can move it to all sides around so I can see it. And then I'm going to hit the home view, and that's what I'm going to do. So now saving this for your portfolio in your project. So I'm going to go up to the iPro, and you're going to click on the Save As option. And you are going to click on Save In. You're going to make sure you select your H drive or your student number. Mine has my last name on it. And then you're going to name it as Cut Block. And hit Save. So that actually saves the file itself. But we need to make it into a picture so we can put it in our portfolio. So you're going to go up to iPro again. This time you're going to hit Export, Image, and you're going to change it to where it says Save As type. You're going to change it to JPEG. And again, you're going to save it in your H drive as Cut Block. And that will allow you to insert the picture into your portfolio. That is it for the cut block tutorial. I hope you made it through all right. I hope that you have a better knowledge of how to use the program.